Please stop jumping off your bed and go to sleep. Please stop doing that. Thank you.
Real parenting has entered the chat.
Guys, just in case you thought this was lights, camera, action,
It's not.
we out here. We in the wild. Into the thick of it. We are.
Ugh.
Yes.
This one's stressing me out already. Am I the a-hole for making my wife get a job?
Let me sit up for this.
So me, 28, and my wife, 27, have been together for 7 years now. I have worked full-time the whole relationship, and she has been a stay-at-home mom. We got married in the summer of 2023, which is interesting because you guys were together for 7 years total.
Yep.
In November, I was laid off and got another job within a week, but it took 3 weeks before I actually started working, and I didn't get paid until 2 weeks after. So we went 5 weeks without getting any money coming in and all the bills coming out, which is stressful. We didn't have any savings, but she carried on spending like normal and using the credit cards, and now they are pretty much maxed out.
Yep.
So I have told her that she needs to get a job because I can't pay for everything by myself anymore.
Yeah.
Because this job doesn't pay as well, and now we have to pay back all the money she used on the credit cards. We have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and she is saying that she can't work because she needs to be home for the kids, but the 6-year-old's at school Monday to Friday, and the 2-year-old goes to nursery 2 days a week. But I'm feeling like he doesn't understand. I'm already, all right, okay. So I said to my wife that I need her to get a part-time just to help pay the bills, even if she only brings enough for the nursery fees, meaning like daycare, or to help pay the cards off. But I feel like a part-time job won't solve those problems. But this has led to an argument, and she's calling me an a-hole. Thanks. I have thoughts, but also there's an edit, so I don't feel like we deserve to read the edit first. I feel like we should respond, but I can read the edit if you want.
Let's go ahead and read the response. That's fine.
Okay.
Let's go ahead. So,
right off the bat,
the first thing that I saw you cringe over is they've been together for 7 years, and they just got married in 2023. Why did that make you cringe?
I just always have thoughts about like really long dating periods of time because I feel like that's odd.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like a small child. Because according to this, you've been together for 7 years, which makes sense because you have a 6-year-old child, but also she's been a stay-at-home mom the whole time.
Yeah.
So like what was the delay for?
Why were we waiting?
I mean, that's their business though, but I just was like,
for sure.
It just, the math wasn't mathing in my head.
You just wasn't about to be the one. It wasn't about to be you.
It would never be me.
How soon do you think somebody should, like how long? Now, I'm going to caveat that with Sierra and I got married
very
after
quickly.
6 months of knowing each other.
Which I would not recommend.
Would not recommend for anybody. But it was 3 months dating, then engaged, and then 3 months to marriage for us. So,
and honestly, I feel like a lot of other like couples that are dating and their spouses in the military or their boyfriend or girlfriends in the military.
Yeah.
I feel like honestly, that's probably relatively normal.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say normal. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it probably happens often with military couples. If I had to guess,
I would say so too. That being said, knowing what you know now, what is too short? What's too long?
If I'm dating you for a year, and I don't even like know that I would want to marry you, I'm not dating you for another year.
Gotcha.
I'm not saying you have to get married then.
Yeah.
But if the plan's not already in play, like, or you're not like, man, I can't live without this person.
Right.
Because like, I feel like I don't have time to burn. Like,
Yeah.
So I'm not just like, now, if we're like casually like, you want to take me out on a date, that's one thing. But if we're in an exclusive relationship,
right,
and if a year in, you're not confident that you want to spend the rest of your life with that other person, I don't know why you would do it for another year after that.
Okay.
So I guess in my opinion, I feel like 3 years would be the max amount of time. And I feel like that's pushing it.
Okay. I
feel if if you've dated for a solid 2 years and you're not like at least talking about wanting to get married, like popping the question.
Yeah. And see,
But to each their own. I
yeah,
don't like,
yeah. I think 3 years is a healthy amount of time.
I'm saying 3 years would be the max amount of time I would be waiting for a man to say, will you please marry me? Because, like, I'm not going to be this young and sexy forever.
Right.
So I'm not about to waste it on you
Right.
if you don't want to spend the rest of your life with me.
So I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah, tell me.
I'm gonna have
That's
a turn.
not actually what this is about,
I
but
know,
like,
but I'm gonna have a turn.
Okay,
I
all right,
think
I'm done.
3 years is a healthy amount of time to date somebody because you get to see consistency and inconsistency. In 3 years' time, and you continuously seeing each other, you're probably going to have some really good arguments that are going to reveal
sure.
everything you need to know about that other person.
What's he trying to say?
You're going to
I'm just kidding.
you're going to also
Know things about yourself.
know things about yourself where hopefully you'll know things about yourself if you're a self-aware kind of a person.
I'm feeling attacked. I'm listening.
Hopefully you're going to know things about yourself if you're a self-aware kind of person during that 3 year time frame. And I think 3 years is a pretty healthy chunk. And so you're saying that's the max. I would say that is the standard,
Ooh,
right? Like that's the
different strokes for different folks.
coming from two people who got married in 6 months at 20 and 21.
Don't listen to us.
Don't listen to us, but you know what I mean? Like, I mean, well, we've been married for 14 years. It'll be 15 this summer. So I think a lot can happen in 3 years, but I do know at year 3, in your mind, you need to decide
Yeah.
what we're actually
And again,
doing.
because I wasn't saying at year one you need to be popping the question. I'm saying at year one you should know whether or not you're ready to pursue a relationship for long term.
Okay.
Like if at year one you're not like, man, I don't know if I can live without this other person. I'm honestly like confused why you would date for another year after that.
I get that.
So like at the end of year 2, I feel like you guys should be on the same page, and then everybody knows that that's what you guys both want to do. You've talked about what you want to do with your, like at 2 years in, if you haven't talked about your life, you haven't talked about your career goals, you haven't talked about the things you're passionate about whether or not you want to have children, about whether or not you want to do all the things. If you want to, like, if you haven't had those conversations, why
Yeah.
would I still be dating?
Right. I get
Still
I
be
get what you're
dating
saying.
you.
I get what you're saying.
So I guess I'm just saying like 3 years in would be the max amount of time I would wait, because to me, year one, I should know whether or not I would be like, if this dude turned around tomorrow and proposed to me, would I be like, we probably need more time?
Right.
Or, ugh, I actually would never want to do that.
Right.
Because then why?
Right.
Or are we still doing this?
Yeah.
So 2 years in, we should have had all the conversations we need to know on whether or not we are compatible for like a marriage relationship.
Yeah.
Because marriage and dating are not the same.
Yeah.
Even a little bit,
Right.
in my opinion. And then after we're all good, 2 years in, I feel like an engage like an proposal should be shortly following that 2 year marker,
Okay.
because I feel like 2 years is enough time for someone to change.
Yep.
For somebody to be like, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and you should know by that point if you guys are compatible or not. I'm not saying they need to pop the question at 2 years,
Right.
but you should
Right.
pretty confidently know what you're in. As someone who is married to somebody who we don't necessarily communicate exactly the same way,
Yep.
I feel like all of this is interesting to read, and I feel like these things are hard sometimes because you're only getting one side of the story.
Yes.
Okay? So, him saying, I didn't get paid until this time, whatever, she carried on, you guys don't have any savings. Okay? Which would make sense why things are going on to credit cards. But she carried on spending like normal and using the credit cards. Okay. What does carried on spending like normal? Like, what was your normal spending habits?
Right.
Like, is she buying groceries? Is she buying gas?
Is she buying Gucci?
Is she buying like makeup and handbags? What is she buying?
Yeah.
Right? Because I know people right now today who are putting groceries on credit cards.
Right.
So what does that mean?
Right.
Do you feel like she's buying like extra things? Like I remember once I had to order groceries, and when I told you how much the groceries were, you were like, how on earth could they be that high? And I was like, here is our Walmart Plus account. Because I like to order our groceries online, especially when I was like in a brace and it was like harder to get around. And so I said, I would love you to look through this list. Like, not even I wasn't feeling attacked. I was just like, I knew that I had literally only bought like things that we needed to eat. Because you know how sometimes you wait, like, and you'll have like literally nothing. And other times you're like, okay, well, I just need to refill these
Right,
things or refill
right.
this. It was one of those times where we didn't have nothing.
Nothing,
We
yeah.
ate up all the groceries.
All the groceries were
all the
gone.
snacks, all the meats, all the condiments was gone.
Yeah.
Everything. So it was one of those where I had to refill. We needed trash bags. We needed soap. We needed deodorant. We needed body wash. Like sometimes you just need everything.
All the things, yeah.
So I was like, I would love for you. Here's my account. Look through and let me know what you would have taken off. And you were like, you know what? You're right. We need all this stuff. And I was like, exactly. No, I'm just kidding. But I was like, I actually did not feel attacked that time. I was just like, I know I'm in the right here. Like, it's not like I was like adding on, candy and shoes and
Yeah.
like stuff like your babies need hair product. They
Yeah.
got to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner every
Yeah.
day. And I don't know if you've met anybody that's got multiple children, but
Yeah.
they like snack.
And
I need a snack.
And that's such a funny dynamic for me because of the way I grew up.
Yeah.
So bare minimum to me and bare minimum to you are not the same.
That's true.
Not the same thing.
That's my thought about this.
Right? Like bare minimum, it's a different thing. Like I grew up on the struggle bus.
But your children have not.
And my children haven't. They don't know anything about that. In part due to their mother making sure they have a standard of living that's like, hey man, I know that you're used to being destitute on the floor, but
if my babies need an applesauce, I need them to be able to go into the pantry and get an applesauce.
Right? So
Especially because they don't even be eating real meals. Let's be honest.
So when this man could be literally saying, she kept spending like normal. We don't know where he comes from. We don't know what his background is. We don't know what her background is. And that's the reason that like
things are hard.
I really do value, spending a little bit more time because you don't know what another person's normal is until you know what another person's
normal
is.
is relative.
Right. It's relative to
So
the
she could have been
experience.
wiling out. She could have
Right.
been spinning crazy stuff.
Right.
The other thing that I would like to say is that I think, in my opinion, very often men are, maybe I shouldn't say very often, sometimes
Okay.
men are not transparent about their financial situation with their spouses, especially if that spouse is a stay-at-home mom. I find that happens quite a lot
Yep.
to women who stay at home, who find out all of a sudden, oh my God, we're like underwater on our mortgage and I had no idea because they leave the reins to another person and then they don't have any idea what's going on. So I'm not saying she probably didn't know that they didn't have any savings, but like maybe she didn't know she might not have known. And I'm not trying to just give her the benefit of the doubt because she's a lady. It's more so because I think she's a stay-at-home mom and she has not worked, it sounds like, in 7 years.
Yeah.
And if they haven't been in this situation before, she might not legitimately have a full comprehension of what's happening. If he wasn't transparent, like, hey man, I don't have a job. I got a new job. And to me, in my brain, I would think, oh, he got a new job. We're good. There's no reason for me to operate any other way.
Right.
Like, did you share the salary or pay cut that you were getting? Did
Right.
you share how long it would be until you started the job? Did you say how long it had been? Like, I know we've had that conversation. Like, it was one of those things where when you were starting a new job, I'm like, how long is it going to be until you get paid, though? But I think that's because I've had a little bit more experience with human resources
We've had
and
that
stuff,
conversation every time I've went to go and switch jobs. It's like, hey, I'm leaving company X for company Y because company Y is paying me Z.
Yeah.
Right? Like every single time.
I need to know what the salary is. I need to know what the bonus is. Do we have any idea what the healthcare situation is going to be like? Do we know, like, because there's a lot of questions, but not everybody asks those questions,
Right.
one, and not everyone is forthcoming with all information to their wife, especially if they are the ones footing the bill.
Yep.
They feel like that allots them all of the like privilege and honor or whatever it is because they're handling the situation. So why should you need to know? Right? But if you don't tell them,
And it's very true, and I can speak for that. It's very true that men don't like to share information that they're going to fix anyway.
yep.
It's like, oh, why would I tell her this when it's something that is my literal burden? And I
Yeah.
have to wake up.
She doesn't even need to worry about
and
it,
go
so
solve
why?
this. Like, why does she even need to know about this? Like, what's the relevance? Because I'm gonna fix it. So, what's the relevance? And so I understand, especially now that the relevance is you like sharing that information with your spouse is information that's valuable to them. Probably, I don't know, depending on your marital situation.
Also, but it's a partnership.
Yeah.
So like I'm not a child, so you shouldn't be treating me like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like parents don't normally expose all of their financial information to their children. I mean, some people do, but most people I would say probably don't
Right.
because it's not for them to worry about.
Right.
So if you are operating and not telling your spouse like or not being like financially transparent with
Mm-hmm.
your spouse, they wouldn't know. And some people would blame her for not asking questions.
Right.
But again, you don't have any idea what people's upbringings are.
Right.
So if she went from being a child
Yeah.
to being a wife or being a mother and a spouse and someone else was taking care of everything and they were like, hey man, I got this. I'll
Right.
take care of you. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Like, you know, I have a friend right now whose husband is set to hopefully make a good amount at his new place where he's working. He's like, I don't want you to have to work anymore. Be careful. Like, and not because her husband's a bad guy, but because you need to know
All the
what
things.
the F is going
Yeah.
on. And if
Yeah.
you just hand it over to him, you'll have no clue. The last thing that really like sort of pushed me over the edge on this one is this. I think that sometimes either people that don't stay home with children, and specifically men, don't really comprehend how it works. First and foremost, as a generalization, again, all of these are generalizations, there are exceptions to every rule. Women generally make less than men. Even if they have the same degree, even if they work in the same field, even if they have the same job title,
Yeah.
they very often make less. That's number one. Number two is when you take a break from the workforce, any woman who has taken a break to raise children and then go back to the workforce, like you could just scroll TikTok, I'm sure you'll come across one, would be able to tell you that some of them don't take like longer breaks with their children because they don't want it to adversely affect their career long term.
Yeah.
Because it does.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I don't think that sometimes people really value what a stay-at-home mom offers you. Right? And this is not, you know, a knock to Jamal or any other man that does this, but like you go to work and so you don't have to come up with or worry about what your children are going to do while you are working. Right? Now you've had to figure that out when I was like taking a little nap. But like as a general thing, he's like, just get a part-time job. Okay. What do part-time jobs generally pay? And what are those part-time hours? Because that's fantastic that your 6-year-old goes to school Monday through Friday. What are the times for those? Your daughter has to be, like for us, for instance, Eden is in school from 7:30 until 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Most jobs start at what time of the morning?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Okay, so you have to, it would have to be close enough that you'd be able to drop your kid off at 7:30. Like in our case, Eden can't take the bus to school because she goes to school like not our neighborhood school. So she can't take the like public transportation. We have to drop her off. Right? So if I would have to drive her to school, drop her off, and then I would have to be able to get somewhere in 15 minutes. And in this case, they have 2 children. So one of them would have to be dropped off, ideally, at the elementary school.
Yeah.
And the second one would be having to go to a daycare facility.
Yeah.
So that means we'd have to split the children up. I would have to take kid A to school, or you would, and then the other one would have to take kid B to daycare.
Yeah.
Okay? That's like, let's just start there.
Yeah.
And then you would have to be off in time to pick up your child from where? School at 2 p.m.
Right.
Okay, so that means you'd only be able to work between the hours of 8 or 9 o'clock until maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon
Right.
because there's a lunch rush. So you'd have to leave work. Your work would have to be close enough for you to drive and pick up what? Both children by 2 p.m.
Right.
Okay? And because if you don't, you'd be having to pay for after school fees, right? So that's more money that you don't have because you can't pay your bills and you have to pay off all these credit cards.
Right.
And now you have after school fees?
Right.
Okay. So now she has to get a job, drop the kids off, pick the kids up, and be home, and then still probably do her stay-at-home mom jobs.
Right.
Right? So now she has to go to work, figure those things out, come home, fix dinner, go and buy the groceries, clean the house, help the children with their homework, figure out any school, like all these other, there's just layers. And I feel like sometimes men don't take any of those things into account because they very often don't have to do them.
I'm going to agree with you on that note. I'm going to also say they don't take it into the account because the pressure of having to perform or else is really, really big. And so for men, when we understand that if we don't go to work,
We gonna be eating beans in the street.
be-
I'm sorry. I feel like I heard that somewhere one time, and so I can't. You guys ever seen People Under the Stairs? I feel like that's what they say. He says you got to be eating beans in the street.
oh my God, yes. If we don't go to work,
Doesn't
my
Ving
family,
Rhames say that in the
I
movie?
don't remember, but
think
listen,
he does. I'm gonna find the
if we
clip.
don't go to work, we're going to be eating beans in the street. And on top of us having to eat beans in the street, you know whose fault it's going to be?
Yours.
It's everybody, your mama, your daddy, society. They're like, why can't that man
Get right.
get right? Why can't he do what needs to be done?
Okay.
So I'm saying you are absolutely right.
And so again, I'm not trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. I don't know these people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, as a stay-at-home mom, I think the idea that like you can just go out and get a job, okay, sure, in theory, but you're not considering all the other things that come into play. And especially when it comes to things like the additional expenses that she is saving you money on. You're not having to pay for after school. Like in this case, her kid is going to school 2 days a week, going to nursery. Like I remember like me being stay at home, I knew a stay at home mom and she had 3 children. Okay. And 2 of her children were in school and the third one went to half a day daycare. And I thought to myself, why on earth would you pay for half a day daycare if you could just stay home with your children?
Yeah.
Now, I would probably run someone over with a car if I could afford to send my child to half a day daycare and have a couple seconds to myself to do anything.
Yeah.
Because to clean or like they're on top of me every second
Of the day.
of the day,
It's true.
up underneath me, making mess. Like as soon as you clean something up, they're making another mess somewhere else. So when people leave those hateful comments like, why don't you just clean up the house during the day? It's like, if I focus on one area, that means they're destroying something else.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they're just like, I'll just wait for my mother to be done. Like, they're like, what can I, while she's cleaning something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so whatever. So I was very like, and it's not like I was judging like her. I just couldn't comprehend why you would pay for that.
Right.
And also that meant she couldn't work a job because she had to go to the school to pick up her other 2 children. And pick up is at what time? 2 p.m.
Yep. Yep.
So her daughter went to school from whatever time she dropped her off in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. She'd pick the toddler up. Then she would go and pick up the other 2 children and bring everybody home. And then she would drive people to soccer or dance or whatever and make dinner. And then she still had to find time to clean her house and work out and, make time to meet with, like, not be like a, antisocial person that never talks to any, like,
Right.
all of those things.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm not saying she shouldn't get a job. I'm just saying they need to weigh the options, okay? And I'm not a fan of just being like, you need to do this. But also, the fact that this started an argument and her calling you an a-hole for telling her to go and get a job leads me to believe that perhaps she didn't have the full picture.
So
I don't know.
right back to your main point of
I could be wrong, though. I don't know. We haven't read the edit, so I'm sure he came in to defend himself because I would assume that probably a lot of women like myself are like, well, let me tell you something about being a stay-at-home
On
mom.
the flip side of that, though,
Yeah.
right? And listen, there was a time where you worked in corporate America. We worked for the same company.
I worked there first.
And Sierra did work there first from
I'm a freeloader now, though.
2013 to 2017.
17.
Sierra and I worked together, right? And then 2018, my son Langston was born. So Sierra's been a stay-at-home mom going
But
on.
I got another job. I got laid off in 2017, and then I had a job for a short period of time, and then he impregnated me, and then I did not go back to
Right.
work after that.
So Sierra's been a stay-at-home mom for 5 years now. I say that just to say this is the first woman in my family who's ever had the opportunity since probably my great great grandmother to be a stay-at-home mom. Right? So like that feels good. On the flip side of that, I would, and I'm not saying there's a couple things at play here. I'm a man, and I feel like my number one job in the world is to figure it out. And it's like, I don't know that everybody has to like the solution, but if it's
If it's a solution.
if it's the solution, that's what you got, right? So I just feel like him being like, "Hey, you need to go back to work." And I don't know if people believe in like gender roles or
Yeah.
anything. I don't think we believe in gender roles in our house. I
Not
don't
really.
think that's a thing, right? I think it's you should be doing what your strength is, and if you don't like what you're doing, find something that you like doing. That's kind of how I think it works.
But
around
also,
here.
I feel like we try to, especially you, like we try to pick up the slack. You know, even the things that I would normally do, like I don't feel like you do a lot of like laundry or folding or putting clothes away. But like if it's piling up, you're like, how can I help you? Because this stuff is everywhere.
Right, right. So I say that to say, I think as a man providing for a family, it is just your job to figure it out, bro. Like,
Well, he said he is figuring it out. He said you get a job. That's the solution.
and I listen. I understand the ungodly pressure that comes with having to be a provider. Like, I don't know. Listen, I don't know any man in my family that has ever had to be what I am, right? Like, until you know, it's just not been a thing. So, and now like I talk to my brothers about it now, and they're in that position where they are the sole provider and their spouses stay home, but it wasn't always like that for them, right? Probably not when they were my age. So, because my siblings are almost a decade older than me, and then some. So,
Yeah.
but as a man, you figure it out, right? And as I think as a good partner who is choosing to be in the home doing things, like you're like, hey, that's plan A. Is there a plan B? Because if there's not a plan B, I'm good with plan A, right? Like that.
Yeah. And also, I think something that we've learned over time is that delivery and timing are very important.
Yes,
Okay?
absolutely.
Because in the height of a stressful situation, like we can't pay our bills, you racked up these credit card bills on things that we don't need or
Not
whatever.
me, the lady in the thing. The lady in the thing. The lady racked him up. I don't want y'all to misconstrue that. Go ahead.
Whatever it is, it's like, was this like a good time or place to have this conversation?
Right.
And it's not about like walking on eggshells or tiptoeing around the other person, but just like being courteous of,
Right.
XYZ.
Right.
Because I know that one thing that's hard, and I can see it from both sides. I think that a lot of stay-at-home moms, in their opinion, have been working all day. Because from the second their eyes open in the morning until their husband, like till the kids go to bed at night, I feel like I'm working. Right? Whereas, your husband may have, gone out of the house to work during the day. And when he comes home, you want to just like throw the children at him and be like, yo, I need a break.
Yeah.
I need a break.
Yeah.
Like, but also maybe that's not the best. And I know men generally don't like that. But because I think it was so funny. This is a good caveat. Maybe it's not. Jamal and I got into an argument one time because I said in passing that he had like more quiet and or like free time. And he was like, "You think I go out more than you do?" And I was like, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. What I said was, your job is 45 minutes away from our house. Trying to tell Jamal that you have two 45-minute car rides every like 5 days a week.
Right.
Where nobody is asking you for literally anything.
Right.
You could drive in utter silence. You could talk to your friends on the phone. You could listen to the music you want to with all the potty words that you want to because there's nobody in the back seat that's going to soak that up like a sponge and then repeat it at the most inopportune time possible. And I was like, I know I go out with my friends. What I'm telling you is that Monday through Friday, you get those 2 car rides every day. And I don't get anything like that during the day because even when you come home, your children are still going to prefer me over you.
I remember when we had this conversation.
Do you remember that? You were hot.
We had this argument on a Sunday going to church and on the way back. And is that
I don't remember that, but I remember the argument though.
I remember that. We were in
like, you think I go out more than you?
We were literally leaving church.
Bro,
and
that's when all the arguments happened though.
And you were like,
you got to walk into the church like
we were literally leaving church.
Look at my children. Don't they look nice?
We were literally leaving church and it was like that argument bubbled back up.
He was hot.
He was
thinking about it the whole sermon. He wasn't even listening.
I was
probably
so angry. He was
like,
mad.
"How dare she? She goes out with her little book club friends.
Like I'm not going out
once a week.
I'm not going out. I'm going to work, working for people that don't give a shit about me. like,
you know who doesn't care about me? Toddlers, because they are violent and they're so mean. They're so mean. Like my arm jiggled and Langston was like, "Your arm jiggled around when you moved it." He was like, "What's that called?" I was like, "That's just my arm, baby. It's just my arm." He's like, "What's that called?"
And you're like,
"That's called non-exercise." That's like, what that's called.
That's the thing I'm sensitive about.
Cool. I'm just gonna go. So I just mean that things can very easily be misconstrued.
Agreed.
Maybe she does want to go out of the house and work, but she just doesn't feel like that's a possibility.
Agreed.
And I feel like for myself, if Jamal had said, we're in credit card debt or this is a problem, we can't pay our bills, I need you to go and get a part-time job, I would have been like, what? First of all, how much money do you think I'm going to make at a part-time job? And then what is the trade-off? Mm-hmm. Because if I'm only going to work to pay for daycare, which I have done before, and it was terrible, right? Because working for people that don't give a shit about you is one thing, but working for people that don't give a shit about you and you still don't have no money is, in my opinion, much worse. Mm-hmm. I remember when Eden's daycare was like $1,200 a month for this daycare.
Yep. That's
so
real.
After my paycheck would come and the taxes would come out, I could pay for daycare and I could pay for like the streaming services and like the internet and maybe have like $50 or $60 left over. Mm-hmm. That wasn't like, and I was like, you know what? If we were in a stressful situation and your first like reactionary thing was to get a part-time job because that'll solve our problem, I'd have been like, let's talk about the other problems that would create.
Right.
So there would have to be a trade-off. Are you going, like, do you have the flexibility to pick up and drop off our kids?
Right. Yeah.
Right? And like, do we need to set up like a payment plan with these credit card like people? Like, what do we need to do? To solve the problem?
I hate this statement, and you know why I hate this statement.
Why?
What's the plan?
What's the plan? I need a plan. Ugh. If the edit says, I work the evening. Ooh, okay. So I am home in the daytime. Interesting. Not that, I have thoughts, but all right. I take the kids to school most of the time. That's awesome. And I do most of the pickups.
Okay.
All right. I'm also the one who does the washing almost every day. Mm-hmm. Also interesting. Very uncommon. I also didn't demand her to get a job. See, I told you the ladies probably came for his neck. Mm-hmm. And I did sit her down and tell her that I can't keep doing it all by myself anymore.
Yep.
That's important. because the price of everything has gone up so much, facts, inflation,
Yep.
and just, corporate greed. She doesn't seem to realize how much it all costs. This is kind of what I was saying
Because
about
he's not communicating.
transparency
Yep.
in your relationship
Yep.
financially.
Yep.
Okay? How much all of it costs and how close we are to not being able to pay for everything.
Yep.
Again, I feel like that just reaffirms
Yeah.
what I said
It's
before
exactly
about
what you said.
you not being transparent. Of course she's going to continue to spend as normal because why would she not?
Yep.
Then the wrap up says, update. My wife went for a job interview yesterday and has been offered the job. She has to wait for her DBS. I'm sure that's like a UK thing, whatever, background check, which can take up to a month, but I'm okay with that. We're so glad you're okay with that because somebody had a choice. No, you didn't. She has been applying for jobs the last couple of months, but apparently because of the gap in employment, she kept getting rejected. Shocker. Because again, that's something that men almost never think about because when babies are born, they don't have to stay home.
Right.
She kept getting rejected, but this one is okay with that. Great. We also spoke about the other things mentioned on here, and we will work on being better together with communication and understanding. I'm telling you, them stay-at-home mommies, they came for his neck.
They were at his doorstep in the UK, babe.
Bro, they was like, hey, bruv. Hey, governor. He's not the a-hole.
Right.
Necessarily. But she doesn't seem like she's the a-hole either.
Yeah.
Seems like a lack of transparency and open lines of communication.
Sometimes the situation that you're in because you're married and you have kids is the a-hole itself. Am I lying?
Nope.
Sometimes it's just like
This blows.
we're just trying to figure
not
it
in a
out.
good way.
And we're taking punch after punch after punch, so much so that I don't even know how to tell this person that I love that I'm hurting and I'm suffering and I'm going through a hard time.
Yes.
Right? Like,
because men also have difficulty saying, I can't do it by myself.
right.
I don't think it's always that women don't want to help or help support or help lift up. It's that men are like, I can do it by myself. I'm a man.
Yeah.
And they don't say, hey, I need help. I can't figure this out.
Right.
Those have been my most favorite things when you're like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, but I don't know what to do.
Right.
Let me talk to you about this. And I'm like, I love this for us. Let me think of some things. Let's brainstorm together because you married me because you like me and you think I'm smart, not
Yes.
just because I got a fat bottom half.
Yes.
I hope.
Nope. 6 months.
Dang it.
So this is called convo and chill.
It's for couples. Okay, here's how you play. Each player is dealt 3 cards. Each player decides on one of the 3 cards for discussion. Each player places the 2 cards that are not chosen back into the deck, and one player starts by asking their question for an open discussion. After each player's card has been discussed, play another round. I don't know which one I'm going to pick yet.
Oh, so you're just letting me go first while you...
Yeah.
So this combo and chill card says, fill in the blank. I love when you...
Am I only supposed to answer it?
Yeah.
Is that how this goes?
You're only supposed to answer it.
Okay.
I love when you...
Let me think. Am I allowed to say like multiple things?
I mean, it's combo and chill, so say what you want to say. I knew I was going to pick this one because it gave me tinglies when I read it. It says,
Lord.
I love when you're like, oh, Sierra's going to get to say what she loves about me, and I'm here for it.
I love so many things about you though, babe.
I love when you blank.
I love when you listen to me ramble on about things that you don't actually care about because it means that you love me, even though you don't care about my books. You don't care about my TV shows. You don't care about crafting. You don't care about so many things that I care about deeply.
How do you know that I actually care about them, though?
Because you listen when I talk, and then especially when it comes back up in conversation later, you're like, oh yeah, that was the this thing and whatever. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking. Active listening. We're here for it.
It makes me so.
That does actually make you a king.
It makes me so happy when you share those things with me, and I
'Cause you're my
and I
friend.
catch enough information to be like, this is not the thing I would land on to that says it fills my cup up. But when I get to tell you, like, talk to you fluently about the things that you love,
Yeah.
that fills my cup
like
up.
the authors that I love.
That fills my cup up. That makes me happy.
I love a lot of things that you do, but when you do things that I know you do not care about at all, and you're only like doing them because you love me and not because you care about the authors or the book signings or the shows or whatever, I'm just like, he really likes me, you guys.
Babe, it's my favorite
I
thing
know.
to see you that kind of happy.
Ugh.
I love seeing you that kind of happy. It's like
Glad I didn't wear like real makeup today. I just put on bronzer.
I feel like the pinnacle of peace in our marriage is when we're producing something for someone like that right there. Like if people asked what relationship was, like people say, what do you bring to the table? That is what it's about. That level of companionship, right? Like being able to produce something in someone else's life that makes them feel valued and seen, and not just in a way that they feel valued and seen, but you understand that this is your place in the world
Yeah.
to be able to do that with that person. I love you, babe.
I love you too.
That was awesome. That was great. Okay.
You do a lot of cool things, but that was like one of the ones that came to mind. Okay, I won't choose the one that I was going to choose because it's very similar. This one says like, "Why do you love me?"
Okay.
And I feel like that's too similar to the question you just asked me.
Okay.
All right, there's two here.
Okay.
But I'm gonna pick the more controversial one just to see what you have to say.
Okay.
Okay, what are some spending habits that I should eliminate to better help me save money?
That's stupid. That's not the question for me.
Really?
I
You don't feel like I have some spending habits I should eliminate?
Here's the reason that's not okay. Okay.
It's gonna be funny. Okay, I'm listening.
Not even spending habits that you would eliminate. I feel like you are very talented at hand lettering and crafting. And I just wish, and maybe it's because of like the way we have kids and the season of life we're in.
Yeah.
But I wish that the money that's been invested into the things for your business,
Yeah.
that you would.
Would make me. I have made a good amount of money from it in the past. I haven't not made any money recently, but
I just wish. Sometimes it just feels like an expensive hobby
that's fair.
versus
Am I allowed to have an expensive hobby though?
listen, and
You're like, you do. What do you mean?
so I'm not like.
My Etsy shop is Lady Chubb Letters. In case you want to buy something,
So that's not me like
support my habit.
complaining or
I know,
like
not.
right, but like I wish
makes sense.
I wish there was a space where you could say,
Right.
you know what, I'm going to take this thing to the next level and I'm going to make
Man.
it make money.
You know what year I did crush that in? 2020. I have not like came back. I talked to somebody about that recently. At the end of last year, I was saying like, man, I really would like to like get my SHIT together more so that I could have another really like productive year because I did a lot of things that year.
Yep.
Like, I worked with the ice cream, so I did physical items, like I did chalkboards
Yep.
at a restaurant, which you knew was like a big step out for
Yep.
me.
Yep.
Because
Soliciting business. I was
I
so
solicited
proud of
business all by
I was
myself.
so proud of you.
I do not like to approach strangers in public. I
Yeah.
also don't like to ask for literally anything from anyone.
So proud of you.
And I went up and I was like, yo, 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 this is my name. Here, my card.
Yeah.
If you want somebody to hook these up,
Yeah.
because they're ugly. I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. If you want me to like come in, I would love to do this for you. And I did like, I don't even know how much I made from that, real talk. Also, I'm just not good at that, like keeping track of that kind of stuff. But I was so worried that they would that they would never reach out to me. I was
Yep.
super worried that once I gave them the pricing, that
Yep.
they wouldn't like want me to come in. And then after I did it the first time, I'm like, they're never going to come back to me for this to update this later. And they sure did, like 2 more times
Right.
after that. Now they have digital signs at that place, so I
Right.
don't work with them anymore, but I haven't reached out to like any other
Yeah.
local businesses in that way. I also worked with, I did a ton of stuff with book boxes that year. I made money on like t-shirt like designs that I sold. They tried to like lowball me on the pricing, and I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna need about 500 if you want me to do that."
You were bringing in a couple checks. You sure were.
I did, like, so much so that I
Yeah.
bought myself like a course that was quite expensive, like with only money that I had made.
Yeah.
Like 2020 was a good year for me because I
Yeah.
like got a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
And a lot of really cool things, and I was really consistent with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not right now.
That's awesome.
But I was like, I told my girlfriend at the end of last year when we were talking about like our goals for 2024, I was like, I would really like to get back to that place where I'm like creating every day, where I'm putting stuff out, where I'm constantly on my Instagram stories, talking to people, engaging with people,
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean, we have the same brain,
Yeah.
but one of us is just frazzled all the time, so she doesn't get it done.
And you know what? Like, I had to really search for that answer, though.
No, I'm not mad or offended by that answer.
I didn't think I wasn't saying that you were. I'm just saying I had to really search for that.
Because you're like, you don't have bad spending habits.
It's not even that. It's not even about your spending habits. I just like you to have what you want to have.
Me too.
Right? Like you always say, like Jamal, you bougie, and
You are bougie though.
And this is because I wasn't born with much. Okay?
I'm not mad at you being bougie.
I know you're not.
Those are just.
I'm just saying it's because I wasn't born with much. So when I get to provide something for you that you typically wouldn't buy for yourself, or
Because I literally wouldn't.
or like
I'm a clearance queen
right, like I'm just like
and a deal.
have it.
That's true. All of anything expensive that I own was a gift from Jamal. Computer.
Make it rain, make it rain, make it rain.
You do. It fills up your tank to be able to give me those things.
That's because I love you, though.
Like, I had no clue how. Like, I really wanted that iPad Pro that first. Because when did I. That was like 2019 Christmas, right?
I don't know. Don't ask me when. I do not know.
I'm going to have to go back and look. It would have been like. Maybe it was. I don't think it was 2018 because, like, Miles or Langston would have only been like a month old.
Okay.
I feel like it was like the following year.
2019. Okay.
Because I had looked at a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, wow, if I had an iPad Pro, do you know what I could do digitally with that? And I did do a lot of stuff. That's so crazy. Now I have to go back and look and see when that was. But like my iPad Pro, then I was like trying to learn how to digitize stuff, which I taught myself, right? And then you bought me a computer so that I could digitize my work. Like my expensive ass headphones, you definitely bought those. I did want them real bad, but that's something I would never have purchased for myself. Like my Cricut, that was you as well. Because again, I would not have I wanted it, but that would have. I'm like a sucker for like a $1 here, $5 here, $10 there. Like I'm like, if it's a deal, I'll buy it if we need it. But like a lump sum purchase, like $200, $300, no, I'm not doing that. Like literally never.
Yeah. Yeah.
My nice sneakers when we went to Ohio, I had never bought myself anything more expensive than like, 50 or $60, like at max. Yeah. He bougie, but I love him.
I am bougie.
And he be spoiling me. He be feeding me pasta and lobster.